A siren wails in the distance, not the kind you hear during war, the kind that signals something unnatural. A soldier stands alone in a sealed command bunker. His orders: initiate CONPLAN 8888. He opens a red binder marked classified. Inside, protocols for mass quarantine, decapitation strikes, and containment zones. But this isn't for terrorists. It's for zombies. Yes, zombies, not metaphorical, not hypothetical. The United States military has a real, declassified plan to survive a zombie apocalypse. And it's not a joke. Buried deep in the archives of U.S. Strategic Command, CONPLAN 8888 outlines how to defend civilization from the walking dead. It includes phases of outbreak, types of zombies, and even how to preserve government continuity when the infected breach the perimeter. This isn't Hollywood. This is doctrine, and the most chilling part: it was written in response to a real vulnerability, a loophole in military planning that left the U.S. exposed to threats not covered by international law. So they created a plan for the impossible, a plan for the end. But what if it wasn't just theoretical? What if the zombie scenario was a cover for something far more real? In 2011, a strange document surfaced from the depths of U.S. Strategic Command. Its title, CONPLAN 8888 Counters Zombie Dominance. At first glance, it looked like satire, a military plan to fight zombies, surely a joke. But the document was real, fully formatted with operational phases, threat categories, and strategic objectives. It described multiple zombie types: pathogenic zombies infected by viruses, radiation, zombies created by exposure, evil magic zombies, yes, really vegetarian zombies, harmless but disruptive. The plan included troop movements, quarantine zones, and even how to protect civilians from panic. But buried in the footnotes was a chilling rationale. The zombie scenario was chosen because it was universally non-politically sensitive, meaning it allowed planners to simulate total societal collapse without offending any real nation. In other words, zombies were a placeholder, a mask, and behind that mask was a real fear, a fear of something that could spread uncontrollably, something that could collapse infrastructure, overwhelm defenses, and erase borders. So the question remains, was CONPLAN 8888 just a training tool, or was it hiding something deeper? Military contingency plans are nothing new. From nuclear war to alien invasion, the Pentagon has prepared for the unthinkable. But CONPLAN 8888 stands apart. It was created by junior officers at U.S. Strategic Command as part of a training exercise. Their goal: design a plan for a catastrophic event that bypasses traditional warfare. They chose zombies. Why? Because zombies are apolitical. They don't represent any race, religion, or nation. This allowed planners to simulate global collapse without diplomatic backlash. But the plan itself is disturbingly thorough. It outlines Phase 0, shape the environment Phase 1, deter the threat Phase 2, seize the initiative Phase 3, dominate the zombie threat Phase 4, stabilize Phase 5, restore civil authority. It includes maps, logistics, and even ethical considerations for dealing with infected civilians. And it's not alone. Other documents have surfaced like FEMA's Zombie Preparedness Guide and CDC Zombie Apocalypse A Campaign, all framed as educational tools, all strangely detailed. So what's the real story? Was this just creative training? Or did someone inside the system know something we didn't? Because when governments start planning for the undead, you have to ask, what kind of threat are they really expecting? Shocking revelations. Here's where it gets disturbing. CONPLAN 8888 wasn't just a quirky exercise. It exposed a legal blind spot in military doctrine. International law restricts how nations can respond to threats. But what if the threat isn't human? What if it's viral, mutated, or synthetic? Zombies fictional as they are allowed planners to bypass legal constraints. They could simulate mass extermination, martial law, and global quarantine without violating treaties. In short, zombies were a loophole, and that loophole revealed something chilling. The U.S. had no plan for a non-human pandemic, no protocol for mass infection that spreads faster than bullets, no strategy for societal collapse triggered by biology, not bombs. So CONPLAN 8888 became more than fiction. It became a blueprint, and then came COVID-19. Suddenly, the idea of global lockdowns overwhelmed hospitals, and panic buying didn't seem so far-fetched. Suddenly, the zombie metaphor felt real, and some insiders began to whisper, was CONPLAN 8888 a test run? Was it preparing us for something worse? Because if a virus mutated beyond control, if AI created synthetic pathogens, if bioweapons escaped containment, then the zombie scenario wouldn't be fiction, it would be protocol, and the red binder marked classified wouldn't be a joke, it would be the last line of defense. Theories and speculations training tool for collapse simulation, the official story. CONPLAN 8888 was a creative way to train officers in disaster planning. Zombies were chosen to avoid political sensitivity, but the level of detail suggests more than just a game. Cover for bioweapon protocols. Some theorists believe the zombie metaphor masks real bioweapon scenarios. Pathogenic zombies equals viral outbreaks, radiation zombies equals nuclear contamination, evil magic zombies equals psychological warfare or AI, induced chaos vegetarian zombies equals mass migration or resource disruption, psychological conditioning by normalizing zombie scenarios through media, CDC campaigns, and military documents. The public becomes desensitized to extreme measures, lockdowns, quarantines, even lethal force. Predictive programming, a darker theory, suggests CONPLAN 8888 is part of a predictive framework preparing society for a real event masked as fiction. The idea, if people laugh at it now, they won't resist it later. Actual threat preparedness. Some insiders claim the plan was inspired by real concerns, synthetic biology, rogue AI, or unknown pathogens. In this view, zombies are just the tip of the iceberg. The real threat is something we haven't named yet. Cultural mirror zombies represent societal fears, loss of control, collapse of identity, breakdown of order. CONPLAN 8888 may be less about monsters and more about us. So what's the truth? Was it satire, a mask, a warning, or was it all of the above? Conclusion and legacy tilde 450 words emotional closure. CONPLAN 8888 began as a joke, a clever workaround, a way to simulate the end without naming names, but over time it became something more, a mirror, a warning, a blueprint. It showed us how fragile our systems are, how quickly order can collapse, how unprepared we are for threats that don't wear uniforms, and it asked a terrifying question. What happens when fiction becomes policy? Because the zombie metaphor isn't just about monsters, it's about contagion, about fear, about the moment when civilization breaks and survival begins. Today, CONPLAN 8888 is studied in military academies, it's referenced in pandemic planning, it's even cited in discussions about AI, bioweapons, and synthetic threats. And while the undead may never rise, the vulnerabilities it exposed are very real. So maybe the plan wasn't about zombies, maybe it was about us, our fears, our blind spots, our need to prepare for the unthinkable. Because if the sirens ever wail, if the red binder is ever opened, It won't matter what we call the threat, only that we're ready. If this story made your pulse race, if the idea of a classified zombie survival plan buried in military archives made you question what's real, then you're exactly the kind of explorer this channel was made for. We uncover the truths behind the fiction, we chase the documents they didn't expect us to read, and we ask the questions no one dares to answer. So if you want more cinematic mysteries, more forbidden plans, more ancient warnings and modern secrets, then subscribe. Hit the bell, leave a comment below.